This is Joe narrating a PowerPoint, Lesson 4 in Social Studies, the U.S. as an Emerging World Power, found on page 436 in the Kaplan book. Key ideas were that the industrialization in the United States required new sources of materials and new markets for products, and this led to what's called imperialism, which is basically the economic, military, and political control of a weaker nation. The U.S. entered World War I in 1917 and entered World War II in 1941. The United States was on the winning side in both these wars. This cartoon depicts imperialism, which is basically more powerful countries grabbing land to get economic, military, and political control over these weaker territories. Africa, for example, was split up in the 19th century among many Western European countries. This cartoon depicts England as an octopus-like animal controlling many other countries, and it was said in the 19th century that the sun would never set on the British Empire. It had dominance of countries throughout the world. In 1898, the United States went to war with Spain. The reason given was that the United States did not like the way that Spain was treating Cuba, which is just off the coast of Florida. A United States ship called the Maine was sunk after an explosion in the harbor in Havana, Cuba, and this led to the war. One of the famous stories from the Spanish-American War was Teddy Roosevelt's charge of San Juan Hill. He was a military commander who later became president. Even after the United States won this war and acquired Cuba, Puerto Rico, Philippines, and Guam, they never turned over self-governance to these countries. World War I began in 1914 due to issues in Europe. The Allied powers included the United States, England, France, Italy, and the Russian Empire. The Central Powers included the German Empire, the Austro-Hungary Empire, and the Turkish Empire. So the red was against the blue in World War I, and the Allied powers won that war. After this war, much of the Middle East was carved up to be controlled by these European countries. Much of Africa happened in the same. In 1929, there was a Great Depression, which meant that the economy went bad in not just the United States, but many nations in the world. Stock value plummeted or went down, and many people were jobless. So soup kitchens, like pictured here, developed to help those who were unemployed. This is a famous picture from the United States Great Depression, showing a mother worried about the fate of her children when there are no jobs, very little food, and no money. In the 1930s, fascism developed in Europe. Fascism is a political ideology or idea that squelches democracy, suppresses democracy or rule by the people. Adolf Hitler, pictured here, became leader of Germany, and he adopted the swastika, pictured here, as a symbol of the Nazi Party. Hitler on the right is pictured with Mussolini, the fascist leader of Italy. And the Spanish Civil War was fought with the fascist forces of Franco opposing the established Republic of Spain. This civil war was quite bloody, fought between 1936 and 1939. So in Germany, Italy, and Spain, fascist forces were taking over. In 1939, Hitler invaded Poland and began World War II. Eventually, the United States entered the war in 1941 when the Japanese dropped bombs on military targets in Hawaii. On the left, you see Winston Churchill, Franklin Roosevelt, and Joseph Stalin from England, the United States, and Russia, respectively. And on the right, you see the leaders of Germany, Italy, and Japan. The United States, England, and Russia made up the Allies. The Axis powers were Germany, Italy, and Japan. This was more of a world war than World War I, as it was fighting in Europe, in Northern Africa, in the Middle East, and also in the Pacific, including Hawaii, Southeast Asia, and Japan. Hitler's Nazis tried to exterminate or kill as many Jews and other subgroups in Germany. It's estimated that about 6 million Jews, Gypsies, Jehovah's Witnesses, homosexuals went to prison camps and were killed in these prison camps during World War II. The atom bomb was developed in 1944 by the United States. It was tested on islands in the Pacific, and then it was used as a weapon when Japan refused to surrender in August of 1945. A single atom bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, a city in Japan, and that single bomb killed almost 100,000 people. Japan still refused to surrender, and another bomb was dropped on the city of Nagasaki a few days later. Finally, Japan surrendered, and that was the end of World War II. That's it for Lesson 4, the United States as an Emerging World